Hi guys, we are going to be making this adorable unicorn purse from Parker on the Porch. He's super cute, or she's super cute. This is the front, this is the back. It's fully lined. Okay, it has this cute little strap that we add to it, which is optional. Okay, super cute. I'm going to show you just a few of my materials, and then we will get started, and I will meet you at my machine. So this polka dot fabric right here is this right here, the Waverly brand. This was from my Walmart. My Walmart has a fabric section, and so this is called, right here, it's a dot. I'm going to put it right there, right there. That's the polka dots, okay? And it comes in yards like this. Okay, and then this is a sparkly pink, which I got at Joann's. Okay, and then for the horn, it's actually the sparkly silver, and I also got this at Joann's as well. I don't know what it's called. There's nothing on it, but okay, so those are some of my fabrics I used. I used medium weight fusible interfacing. I'm using tearaway and cutaway because we have two hoopings. And then for the strap, I just cut 30 inches because I want it to be kind of a crossbody bag for my daughter, which is this. And I bought this from Joann's as well. Okay, so those are some of the materials. So let's get started. I'll meet you over at the machine, and we are going to make this. Okay guys, I have the design loaded for the ears and the horn. I have my hoop with one sheet of tearaway, and I'm going to go ahead and do the first step, and I'm stitching the placement stitches directly onto my tearaway. I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Guys, that's what the horn looks like right there, the placement stitch. So you need a big enough piece of fabric to go over the top of that. So I have this fabric right here that I got at Joann's that I'm going to use, and I have one for the top of it and one for the underneath of it. And then I took, right here, I used this. It was medium weight fusible interfacing, and I went ahead and ironed it onto the back of both of my sheets for the horn because I want the horn to be a little bit stronger, thicker, and sit up straight at the top of my bag. Okay, so you're going to take one of these, make sure it goes completely over this, and then the next step is going to go ahead and tack that down. So go ahead and stitch that. I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, that's what the placement stitch looks like right there. Now the next step, step 3, is going to be to stitch the decorative stitching of the curves on the horn. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch that, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, that's what it looks like right there. Now the next step is to go ahead and put the back part of your horn on. So I have my fabric here. I'm going to take the right side of the fabric, flip it down, and I'm going to do right sides together, making sure I get across all those placement stitches like that. And then go ahead and stitch step 4. It's going to go ahead and tack those two together. I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, that's what it looks like right there. Now we're going to go ahead and do the ears. So the next step, step 5, is to stitch the placement of the ears. So I'm going to stitch that and come back and show you. Okay guys, that's what the placement looks like. Now you need 4 pieces of fabric, 2 for the top and 2 for the back, that are going to cover up these ears. They don't all have to be the same if you want the fronts and backs to look different, but I used all the same. I used this right here. It's just a polka dot teal color, and I went ahead and used my fusible medium weight interfacing again. I just ironed it on the back of all 4 of my pieces. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to make sure your fabric goes across all your placement stitches, and you're going to go ahead and stitch the next step, step 6, which is going to tack that down. Okay, that's what it looks like. And normally I would use a thread matching my fabric so you don't see it when we flip it at all, but I want you guys to be able to see it here. So there is your tack down. Now step 7 is going to be the detail inside the ears, the fill. So I'm going to use this pink, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch that, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, that's what it looks like right there. Now you're going to take your other fabrics that you prepped. You're going to take the right side, face it down. These are going to be right sides together. get it over your placement stitch and do that for both sides. Here's my other piece. And then you're going to go ahead and stitch the last step, step 8, and it's going to tack those two together. I'll come back and show you. Okay, this is what it looks like right there. We have our horn and our ears. Now we can go ahead and take it off of our hoop because we're done stitching these. Okay, and I'm just going to take all of this tearaway off. Now, if you didn't want to go ahead and use interfacing like I did to make your fabric thicker, you could have used cutaway here instead of tearaway and then just cut around it because these flip. So that would have been acceptable too, just whichever you prefer to do. I just prepped my fabric with interfacing instead. Get the ears out. I'm just taking these out because I don't want the sound of the tearaway. Okay. There's that one. Let's do this one. Okay, and then you're going to cut around these and you're going to flip them. Okay, so let me get a scissors. Okay, so you're just going to go ahead and cut around these. You're going to want some excess down here because you have to put it into your bag. Okay, and then you can do like some little cuts here so it flips. Okay, and then you're just going to go ahead and flip this inside out. Okay, like this. I'm just pulling it through, and I'm going to use this little thing right here to help me. Okay. Just going to get like a nice little point. Okay, and then I would go ahead and iron this as well. And there's your horn. Okay. Now you're going to go ahead and do that with the ears as well, and I will come back and show you. You're just going to cut around them and flip them and iron them. Okay, I'll come back and show you what mine look like. Okay guys, this is what they look like. I just cut around, turned them, and then I ironed them. So we have 2 ears and our horn right here. Okay, you can set those aside. We're not going to use those right now. Now go ahead and hoop your hoop with, I have 1 sheet of cutaway for this. I'm going to use cutaway for the bag. You can use tearaway. You can use whatever you want to use, whatever you prefer for your stabilizer for your bags. And I'm going to meet you over at the machine. Make sure you load the next file, which is the bag file. Okay guys, I have my hoop on my machine with 1 sheet of cutaway, and I have the next file loaded right there, which is the bag. I'm going to go ahead and stitch step 1 directly onto my stabilizer. I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is what it looks like right here. Went ahead and put the placement stitches down. We're going to focus on these stitches up here next because we're going to place our zipper. I'm going to use a white zipper right here. Now, if you want your zipper to pull from this direction, go ahead and make sure your pull's over here. If you want it the other way, just go ahead and do it this way. Now, the way that you know you have a long enough zipper is that the end piece right here and your pull can get by your placement stitches without your foot hitting it as it goes around. Doesn't matter if it's super long, it just can't be shorter than that. Okay, so I'm going to take my zipper. I'm going to place it right along this bottom line right here. So I'm going to go ahead and go like that. See how you can just see it right there? I'm going to do it all the way across, just like that. Now you can go ahead and tape right here and tape right here to make sure it stays in its spot. and we will go ahead and stitch the next step. The next step, step 2, is going to go ahead and stitch a line right here. It's going to jump your zipper teeth and stitch a line up here, tacking your zipper down to your stabilizer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, that's what it looks like right there. It went ahead and stitched right there. You can see the line, and then it's stitched right above. So your zipper is now tacked down to your stabilizer. Oops, it's blurry, sorry. Now I'm going to go ahead and run the next step, which is step 3. It's going to go ahead and put the placements down for where you need to place your ears and your horn. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. I'll come back and show you. Okay, guys, this is what it looks like. It has a bunch of placements here. The first placement we're going to do is the strap for this bag. And you can skip the strap if you don't want a strap like this, but this is, I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so I have this. I measured 30 inches long on here because that's about how much I want for my daughter. Okay, so this is what I used. I bought it at Joann's. I just measured 30 inches and I cut it. Okay, now the way you're going to place this is this very first placement right here. It needs to go right there. So I'm going to go ahead and take part of my thing, my strap, and I'm going to go ahead and place it right there, okay? And then I'm going to go stitch the next step, which is step 4, and it's just going to tack that down. You can go ahead and tape it. It's just going to do a little line right there holding it in place, okay? Okay, guys, that's what it looks like right there. I went ahead and tacked this down, and I cut one of the little balls off to get it out of the way so I could put it there, okay? Now you're going to go ahead and take it straight so all the balls are facing the right direction all the way across. So I went ahead and did that all the way there. And then I cut off one more of the balls. And then you're going to go ahead and do the other placement on this side right here. Okay, so the way that you're going to do that is you're going to place it like this. Now when this is done, you'll have one strap on the front and one strap on the back, so it holds it even, so it doesn't flop over on you. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that right there and stitch step 5, which is going to go ahead and tack that right there. Okay, I'll come back and show you. Okay, guys, we are ready to place the ear. Now the ear is this right here. You can see there's that line, and this line. These 3 lines make up the ear. This is the center right here. You're going to take one of your ears. You can see that they kind of go that way. So I'm going to take this. So I think this one is the ear that goes over here. Now the things you want to pay attention to when you're placing this is this line right here. You want that line to line up down here. So right here, see this line right here that my finger's on? That line is where it's going to stitch. This is the center. So you want to take this, you want to place it in the center, like right there. And then you want it to go all the way down, and you want this line to go just below that line. Okay, so right there's center, right there. So just about like right there. You just want to make sure this pink line right here is below this line right here, which is your placement line for this ear, because it's going to sew right there, and you want to make sure you don't see the pink above over here on your bag. You want it to be below. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, you can go ahead and tape it and then stitch step 6, which is going to tack that down. I'll come back and show you what mine looks like. Okay, that's what it looks like. You can see that I got it to stitch right above those lines like I wanted, and then it's centered right there down that. Okay, so next we're going to place the next placement, which is the horn. And the horn's going to be this. You're going to use this over here. There's the center to there. So the horn's going right here. Okay, so I'm going to get my horn. You're going to place it exactly the same way. You're going to get it centered on this center line. Okay, and you're going to go ahead and just pull it down. And you're going to want to make sure that it goes right below that line right there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right there. Go down right there. Okay. So the next step is going to go ahead and just tack this one down. So go ahead and run step 7. I'll come back and show you. Okay, that's what it looks like right there. I got it stitched right above and in the center. Okay, now we're going to do the last ear, which is over here. These ones are the ones you're going to look at. There's the center. Okay, I'm going to take my other ear. You can move the strap out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and find the center. Like right about there. And go ahead and pull it down. And you're going to want to make sure, I'm going to move it. You're going to make sure it's right below that line right there, okay? And then once it's in the right spot, go ahead and stitch step 8, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. That's what it looks like right there. So we have this ear tacked down, we have the horn tacked down, and the other ear tacked down. Now, one thing I wanted to make sure you knew, like if the stitch goes this way and this way, it goes back and forth, and if your foot is too low, it's going to catch on the side. So make sure your foot's high enough to get past this fabric, okay? So put your foot on the right setting, on the right height for you so it doesn't pull it out, okay? So I'm going to bring you back over to my other table and we're going to start prepping the other fabric. Okay, this is where we're at right here. We have our strap and we have all of our ears and our horn attached to our bag with our zipper. Now we're going to use these placement lines right here to determine how big of a piece of fabric we need for the front of our bag, the back of our bag, and the 2 liners, okay? So I just go ahead and this is the way I do it. I take my whole thing of fabric and I pretty much put it like this down here so I can get past my stitch lines, and then I put it right above my zipper because of my back of my bag has to be that big. And then I take scissors and I just chop it right there, and then I open it and cut 2 pieces. That's how I do it. I don't use measurements or anything. I just line my fabric up, okay? So I have 1 piece right here. I already did that for you. And then I went ahead and put that medium weight interfacing on my woven. This is woven, so that's what I used. And I just make sure that it's big enough that it can go all the way around my bag, and it does. So I have that. That's the front of my bag. And then I have another one, which is the back of my bag, and I also went ahead and put the interfacing on the back of my bag. And then I have 2 liners, and all I did was cut the liner to make sure it's big enough, and I ironed it. I didn't put anything on it. I don't put stuff on my liner. So I have that piece for one side of my liner, and I have this piece for the other side of my liner. So you're going to need 4 pieces of fabric here, okay? And what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and put the liner, set it up on the back. So you're going to flip your hoop over like this, okay? And then you're going to take the right side of your fabric facing you. If I had hearts on here, it'd be facing me, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and flip it over so the wrong side is facing me now. I'm going to pull it up, and these placement lines right here, the bottom placement line, that's where I go ahead and line it underneath that, like that. I make sure that my fabric's on either side of my placements so it can go all the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and tape. I'm just taping these 2 sides down right here, and it's just going to hang off the edge of your hoop like that just until we get a few things done, okay? So then I'm going to go ahead and flip it over so that's placed, okay? And then I'm going to take the front of my bag. I'm going to do the right side up, facing me. If these were hearts, they would be facing me. Then I'm going to go ahead and take it, and I'm going to flip it like that. I'm going to pull it up over, and I'm going to go ahead and place it right underneath this stitch line right here, okay? So I'm just going to make sure. You're going to get a little bulky here, but I'm going to make sure that my straps are out of the way and stuff. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that I can get right below it, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on either side because here's my placement stitch right here, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and tape this here like this. I'm going to tape this other side, okay? And then I'm going to go over to my hoop, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on my machine. I'm going to stitch the next step, which is going to do 1 line across here, tacking your front of your bag to your bag and the liner of your bag to your bag. So when you get on your hoop, make sure that this liner stays up and out of the way, but it's still taped down, and you're going to go ahead and stitch your next step. And I will come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, I'm on my hoop. There's a lot of stuff you want to make sure that's out of the way. Sorry, that's my iron making noise. Okay, so you want to make sure your liner is straight and up out of the way. You want to make sure your strap's out of the way, like this. Okay, and then you want to make sure your top's like this, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and stitch step 9. I'll come back and show you. Okay, this is what it looks like right here. It went ahead and tacked that down right there. Now you can check a couple things now. One, you can pull your top fabric down and make sure you have enough to get past your placement stitches here. If you don't, you need to pull it out and get a bigger piece of fabric and rerun that last step. Okay, the other thing is you can flip your hoop over and make sure that your liner didn't shift or anything and that the stitches caught it all, okay? And then you can pull this down and make sure it gets past all your stitches as well. And it does, so I'm good to go. But your liner doesn't go down yet, so go ahead and put that back up. That's just to check if you were uncertain. If anything went wrong with the top or the liner, then go ahead and just pull out your last stitches and get fabric to fit better and go ahead and run it again. Now, we are now going to pull the front of our bag down, so I'm going to get rid of some of this bulk. You don't want to get too close where it's going to pull out of your stitch line here, but this is too much. It's going to be too bulky in your bag. So I'm going to cut to like right about here. I'm going to trim it, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Here's where I'm at. I went ahead and trimmed that right there. You can see it's trimmed, and I put it back on my hoop. So I made sure my liner's still up. I made sure that my strap is out of the way. Now we're going to go ahead and pull the front of our bag down. I can get it with my hand. Hold on. Like that. You're just going to pull it down. I can walk around. I have an island in the middle, so I can walk around my machine. But okay, so you're going to go ahead and pull this fabric down. Make sure that it's smooth and flat, exactly how you want it. Now the next step is going to go ahead and just stitch this all the way down like this. So make sure it's smooth and flat. You can tape it. And I'm going to go ahead and run step 10, and I'll come back and show you. Make sure your liner and your strap is out of the way. Okay, that's what it looks like there. It went ahead and tacked the front of the bag down. Now we're going to go ahead and run all the details that go on the unicorn's face. So your liner and your strap stays out of the way for all of this, okay? So we're going to go ahead and run step 11, which is the placement for the applique for the unicorn's nose. Okay guys, we are going to prep the fabric for the unicorn nose area. So we're going to do an applique for that area. So we are going to go ahead and take some Heat and Bond Light. This is Heat and Bond Light. You can see there's a rough side and a paper side. You go ahead and take your fabric. This is the right side of my fabric. You flip it over to the wrong side. And then you go ahead and put the rough side of the Heat and Bond Light against the wrong side of your fabric. And then I go ahead and flip it over and I iron. And then the adhesive goes on to your fabric, and then you just go ahead and pull this paper off like this. And it's just kind of like a plasticky type feel on the back of your fabric. And now you're all prepped and ready to go. This just keeps your fabric really, really tight and nice and smooth when you're doing an applique. And at the end, you can iron it and it will adhere to it, okay? So this is how you do Heat and Bond Light. Now I'm going to bring you back over to my machine, and we're going to put this where the unicorn placement is for the nose, okay? Here's the placement right there. It went ahead and did it. So you need a big enough piece of fabric to go over there. We just prepped our fabric, so I'm going to go ahead and put this over that area. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and run the next step, which is just going to tack that down, okay? So I'll come back and show you. That's what it looks like right there. So then I'm going to go ahead and take applique scissors, which are just curved scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and trim all the way around there. I'm not going to trim down here because that can just go into the bag and get cut off later. I'm just going to trim all the way here because we're going to have a satin stitch going there. So we want the fabric off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll come back and show you. Okay, you can see I went ahead and trimmed all the way along there. Now the next step, step 13, is going to do a satin stitch all along the top of that nose area. Now, just as a little pro tip, I always check my bobbin thread to make sure that there is enough bobbin thread for satin stitches to go all the way across here. I don't like having to change my bobbin in the middle because then I end up getting weird stitches. You can see where I had to stop and start again. So whenever I do satin stitches that are on anything that are quite a bit, I always make sure I have enough bobbin that I don't have to switch in the middle. Okay, just a tip. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch the satin stitching. Make sure you have the right color you want in there, and I will come back and show you. There's the satin stitch right there. We're going to go ahead and do step 14, which is the eyes. So I changed my thread to black. I will come back and show you. Okay, that's what the eyes look like right there. Now we're going to go ahead and stitch step 15, which are these cute little hearts that are down here for the nostrils of the nose. I'm going to make mine purple. I will come back and show you. Okay, there's the cute hearts. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the cheeks. So I'm going to pick a pink and I will stitch that and I'll come back and show you. Okay, that's what we look like so far. All the details are stitched on the front. Now we're going to pull our liner down. So take your hoop off your machine, flip it upside down. Now we can pull this liner down. So I'm going to go ahead and take my tape off that's been holding it. Okay. Then I'm going to pull my liner down. Okay, now mine's too long, so I'm going to trim it a little bit. You want to make sure you leave enough space down here that you can turn your bag through. So I'm just going to cut it just a little bit, and then I'm going to tape it, make sure it's all smooth and flat. I'm going to tape it, and then I'm going to put it back on my machine, and we're going to go ahead and stitch step 17, which is going to go ahead and tack your liner down. Okay, I trimmed it and I taped it down. I'm going to go ahead and put it back on my machine. Like that. I'm going to make sure all my stuff's out of the way, and I always check that it stayed where it's supposed to be. It didn't flip up or anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and stitch the next step, and I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, we are getting super close. So this is what we look like right here. Let me turn one around. Super cute. This is what the underneath of your hoop should look like. It went ahead and tacked down your liner. It should be all smooth. Okay, and then keep all that tape down still. Okay, now we're going to put the back of our bag onto the front of our bag. That's where we're at. So when we do that, we always open our zipper. So get your zipper open. Get them past these ears and stuff. Get it far enough open that you can turn your bag through this hole, but not so far open that the foot of your machine will hit your placements. You can see where it's going to still stitch around. Okay, so this is probably fine. It's open far enough right there. Okay, so now we're going to start taping things into our bag. Now, if you want anything else added to the outside of your bag, now if you didn't add the strap, you could add little tabs right now. You could add whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and add this little piece of fold over elastic. Fold over elastic is also known as faux, F-O-E. It's just stretchy elastic that usually is pretty. This one's sparkly. Okay, I'm going to add this because I might want to add charms or something off the side of my bag, and I don't want to have to put the charm stuff through the zipper pull. I just want it off the side of my bag, so I'm going to go ahead and fold. The pretty side is on the outside, so I'm folding the wrong sides together. I'm going to place it on the inside of my bag. I'm going to put it right here. Now, depending on how big you want the little loop to be will determine how close you put it here. So if you want it smaller, it'd be like that. If you wanted a bigger hoop, you'd put it there. But the loop is on the inside, okay? I'm going to just put it just kind of like that, okay? And I'm going to tape it down like that, okay? Now, the other thing you're going to do is you're going to tape your ears and horn and stuff down, okay? Because you want it to stay down and out of the way from, oops, it's not going to tape very nicely. Hold on. It's not staying very good. And I don't want to use really super sticky tape because I don't want it to mess up my fabric either. Okay. Put a little more. Try to get it down and out of the way. And if you used really sticky tape on this, you could mess up your fabric where your fabric has the residue of the sticky. I know the Scotch tape's not going to do that, okay? So you got that in. Now you're going to pull this down as well and make sure it's in your bag. Now mine's really poofy because I have all these little balls on here, so it's going to be a little bulky. Okay, So I'm going to do like that. Make sure it's all inside your placement stitches. You don't want this, your strap to get stitched on the outside, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and take the back of your bag. We already prepped that fabric right here. This is the back of my bag. You're going to take the right side. Now, if this had a design on it, I'm going to do that. Go ahead and place it facing you. The right side's towards you. So if this was hearts and you towards you, you're going to go ahead and flip it like this, okay? And then it will be facing the right direction on the back, okay? So mine's going to be pretty bulky, but you want to make sure you get past all of your placement stitches, okay? And you're going to go over to your machine and you're going to stitch the next step. Make sure your zipper's open, make sure everything's on the inside and out of the way, and then it's going to go ahead and stitch around this several times, okay, enclosing your bag. Okay, so I will come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, this is what it looks like, my little pillow. It's all bulky because I have that strap in there, okay? But that's what the top of your hoop looks like. That's what the underneath looks like. We're going to go ahead and flip over to our underneath. And now we're going to stitch the very last stitch step. We're going to take our liner and we're going to go ahead and put it on. We're going to take the front. This is the right side of our fabric. If it was facing me with hearts, you would go ahead and flip it like this as well, okay? To make them the correct direction, okay? So you can go ahead and get it over all your placement stitches. You're going to tape it down, and then you're going to go to your machine and you're going to run your very last stitch step, and then I will bring it back and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is what the top of your hoop looks like. This is what the underneath of your hoop should look like. We're going to go ahead and pull it off now because we are done stitching our bag. Take this off. Okay. Now I always cut from the back side right here. If you have tearaway, go ahead and tear it off. I use cutaway, so I'm not tearing anything. I always cut from this side because I can see my hole. Right here, you can see where the stitches stop on each side. There's a hole right here. Okay, so I cut on this side, and I cut at an angle over here. Just gonna go ahead and cut up to here, and I'm gonna turn and cut up that. And then cut over here. Down. Once you get to these other stitches that stop, I go ahead and cut to them, and I cut out at the other direction angle. And then I cut across. I usually look at this side because if you cut here across, you're going to cut your circle. Your circle goes out farther. So turn it on this side. Make sure to follow those stitches, not the other side. Okay. There we go. Now we have a liner here, and we really only need the liner. So either piece of fabric on either side of the hole is your liner. So you're going to pull that up. I always fold this down like this so I can hold this like that because I want to cut from this side. And I need to be able to hold that up and out of the way because you don't want to cut your liner. You need that to close your hole. But you don't need all this excess bulk, okay? So you're going to come on this side. Make sure not to catch your liner and just cut this a little closer. Make sure you're not getting your liner in there. Sorry, I'm pulling it off the screen. Okay. So that's what it looks like. We still have our liner, okay? I'm just gonna get this out of the way. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and flip through this hole. Actually gonna get this a little bit closer so when we close it, it's a little bit easier. Cut that angle very good. Okay, there we go. I just cut that a little bit more to the shape. Okay, so now we're going to flip through this hole. I just get my fingers all the way up to the top and then I push through. Mine's really bulky with that strap. Okay, so if you don't like to do a lot of bulky stuff, that strap's not my suggestion, but it's gonna be cute. Okay, so once you get it turned, I use this little, it's like a sewing turning system dowel thing. That's what I'm using. All right, I'm just getting the corners out and the sides a little bit better. Okay, now because this is a curved bag at the bottom, I do not use the tape on this. I use the glue, but I will show you both. And there's several videos where I use the tape to close, and there's several videos where I use the glue to close. So I'm going to use the glue on the curved bag. But here's the tape that Jen uses, and I use on a lot of the videos as well, to close this hole. You can use a ladder stitch. You can do whatever you choose to do. I'm going to use glue, fabric tack glue right here. I'm going to get some clips. I use little Wonder clips, okay? So you have to do two things now. One is going to be to close the hole. The other thing's going to be able to get this cutaway out. If you use tearaway, you're good. You can just pull this and tear it out. I use cutaway, so you're going to have to cut it out, okay? So what I do first, I'm going to close the hole. Now this is rounded, so it's a little more difficult to get how you want it than like straight across bag. But you're going to take this excess fabric and you're going to kind of sandwich it together how you want it to look. Okay, so I'm going to just get it. I get it to where it covers those that stitch line. That's kind of what I go around, and then I just clip it and get it to where I want it first. Okay. All right, I pretty much have it how I want it. I want it to close like that, okay? So I'm going to take my glue, and this is just a clear glue. It dries in about 5 minutes, and it doesn't clear or clumpy or hard or anything, which I really like. I'm just going to have it come down for a second. Okay, it's ready to go. Now I go ahead and I put it right underneath these stitches. And it's going to kind of come out a little bit, which is fine because I want it to be all the way closed. Like that. And then I just get some fabric or whatever's waste. Okay. And I wipe it off. I get it exactly where I want it. Make sure the glue went all the way to the edge. And then I start clipping there. Like that. And then I just open it more. And if it does bubbles like that, I wipe it off. I just put some more glue in. Go ahead and wipe any excess off. Oops. And I just put more clips on. Glue's a little more messier than the tape, but it works. Okay, so this last little hole area. Okay. Now this needs to sit about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes if there's still a little too much glue. I make sure that I wipe away the glue that comes out if it's too much. Okay. there we go. Now while we wait for that to dry, put the glue over here, make sure I get the glue off my hands. Okay, now we wait for that to dry. We can go ahead and do this part, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and take these little snip scissors is what I use. Now you wanna be really careful not to cut your fabric or your zipper. That would be really sad, okay? There's some extra little strings here you can just clip off on both sides. It's just the tie downs, okay? Now I go ahead and take the edge and I just try poke a hole through just the tearaway, okay? Or the cutaway, sorry. Okay, when you know that you just have your cutaway, which I do, and you don't have your zipper or anything in there, then you just start, I try to slide it and cut little cuts so you don't end up getting anything in there you don't want to have in there. But it kind of just slides, and if it feels like there's resistance there, then make sure you're not cutting it because you're probably hitting your zipper. Okay, and I just kind of pull it out of the way. Okay. What that is. Oops, sorry, my dog's barking. Okay, and then I just go all the way across. See, I'm holding the cutaway and it lets you just slide across a little easier on this side. Just make sure you do not cut your fabric, okay? Because it could get caught in there really easy. Okay, almost done. There you go. You can see we cut it away all the way around. So it's not there anymore, okay? Now I'm gonna let this dry for a few more minutes and then I will come back and show you what we do next. Okay guys, I waited about 5 minutes. I'm gonna take these off so we can finish our tutorial. So you can see that it went ahead and dried. There's no excess, it's closed. Okay, we opened our hole over here. Let me move this, okay? Now we're gonna go ahead and flip through the zipper. I have all this tape. Okay, so let's flip through, see how we did. Okay, I'm just using my hands to curve it out. Make sure you get all your corners really good. Okay, I'm gonna get all my tape off. Okay, then you can do a press on this, get this an iron and press it if you want. I'm gonna close our zipper. Make sure I get this corner out correctly. All right, there we go. Okay, we are done. Let's see how we did. Okay. So here's our cute little unicorn right here. There's the front. Here's our back. I'm gonna iron it. And then you open your zipper. There's the inside. Okay. And then here's your strap. You have one on the front and one that comes on the back. So when this goes over, it doesn't flop around, okay? So there is your unicorn bag. It's super cute. I also have my little loop right here that I added, and I'll put like a cute little charm. You can put the, let me show you. These, the ball chains. You can add a little charm to this, and then you just hook it through, and then you can have a little charm hanging off of your bag right there. So that was the purpose of me putting that there. Okay, so here it is. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this helps you make the bag. Go ahead and post your projects over at the Parker on the Porch Facebook group. We would love to see your projects. And if you have any questions, let me know. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and go ahead and click the little bell at the top. That will notify you when a new tutorial comes out, and go ahead and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.